everyone!
To get a better understanding of Garrosh Hellscream, you'll first need to know a little bit about the history of the Horde and about his father.
That's how I started my 2012 version of the story of Garrosh Hellscream, and quite a lot of you requested for an updated version, deep dive into the story. Not only has more story been added, it's also one of the earliest lore videos that I have done, so let us go back in time and talk about one of the best characters built up within World of Warcraft.
You made me what I am!
This takes us back to the time that the Orcs were living on the world of Draenor and found themselves mixed up with the Burning Legion, who had corrupted their people and turned them against the Draenei. Dark fell magic, exchanging their ancient traditions of shamanism to become warlocks. Demonic blood offered by Gul'dan and the Pit Lord Manaroth, with Garrosh Hellscream being the first to embrace it. All of it to increase their power, bind them to the Demonic Legion, and wipe out the Draenei. Believing that good things would come to the Orcs, believing that their leaders were passing on the wisdom of their ancestors. Instead, they ended up with a dying world. Their skins turned green, reflected the corruption that had seeped into their world and their race. Water and food, it became a rare commodity. That demonic blood that was pumping in their veins, it turned them against each other. It was at their most desperate when the Legion's creator Garrosh manipulated them towards invading a whole different world. A world full of food, water, and plenty of enemies to kill.
Gul'dan, order your warlocks to double their efforts! Moments from now, the gateway will open, and your horde will be released upon this ripe, unsuspecting world.
To weaken it and have the Legion claim it. Azeroth's defenders, however, they managed to push back this horde's first invasion. The second one, it was also repelled, with the Alliance stepping through the Dark Portal to stop the horde from ever again inflicting the same suffering that they had caused to Azeroth. The Dark Portal was destroyed, which separated the horde's forces, leaving some of them, like Grommash and his Warsong clan, now stranded on Azeroth. They believed the way home was lost forever, and that their beloved Draenor and all those left behind, that all of that was dead. Grumspots turned to his son, who had indeed stayed behind. Not because he was too much of a coward to fight, or didn't believe in the mission of the Horde. Quite the opposite, in fact. Garrosh, he had caught a case of the red pox. This wasting disease is highly contagious, lasts for months, and kills many of the infected. Every few generations, an outbreak would wreak havoc among the clans. Those of the Orcs infected, they were placed in quarantine in the beautiful land of the Grants under the care of Great Mother Geisha. Although much of the world had been consumed by the Legion's influence, this piece of land, it remained intact, and so did its people. Those here were far enough away from the Fel to keep their normal skin color. They remained uncorrupted, or as the Orcs called it, they remained Magar. Father and son, living separately from each other. On Azeroth, Grommash would live on and learn. Team up with young Thrall, liberate Orcs from their internment camps, and reform the Horde. Thrall's journey placed him on a path of destiny, one to fight back against another coming of the Legion. Grum was at his side, but he could sense that things are like the old days, like the demons are near, and the bloodlust, it takes hold of them once more. The Warchief of the Horde decides to put Grum and his men on the task of setting up a settlement within Ashenvale Forests, entering the territory of the Night Elves, cutting down sacred trees that they've guarded for millennia. It gave Grum the fight that he was looking for, but overcoming something as powerful as the Wild God Cenarius, it was going to take more than just the Orc strength. Once more, they drank the blood of Manaroth, despite it going against everything that Thrall tried to teach them. They embraced the rage and the old days, slayed Cenarius, but also placed themselves right back into the arms of the Legion.
Ah, Thrall. You always believed that the demons corrupted our race, but that's only half true. We gave ourselves up willingly on Draenor. The other chieftains and I, we drank Manaroth's blood, Thrall. We brought this curse upon ourselves. You did this to our people knowingly? Gah!
History repeats itself here, with Grommash fully embracing the demonic curse. Thankfully, Thrall and his new ally, Jaina Proudmoore, they're able to make Hellscream see clearly again, which means that it's time to confront Manaroth himself and make him pay for what he has done to their people.
The boy believed you could be saved, but he didn't know what burns within your soul. The blood haze has lifted. The demon's fire has burnt out in my veins. I have freed myself. No, old friend. You freed us all.
Grum's heroic sacrifice would mean the salvation for the entire Orcish race. Thrall would go on and help save the world from the Legion, put a base for his new horde in the lands of Durotar, with their capital of Fall of Grommash, trying to keep the peace between the Alliance and the Horde going. Some might see this as a fool's errand, the Horde and the Alliance simply destined to fight one another. But people like Thrall, people like Jaina, they did their best to show the world that there was another way, that there was enough room and opportunity for both factions to exist together on Azeroth. Meanwhile, back on Outland, Garrosh, he grew up with stories of his father, about his savagery and his battle frenzy and his appetite for violence. How he had been the first to give himself to the Horde and to foul magic, allowed himself to be corrupted, growing up believing that his bloodline was cursed, living beneath the shadow of his father's greatest failures. It meant that by the time that we see Garrosh again, which was with the Burning Crusade and the reopening of the Dark Portal, our Warchief of the Magar clan, he's quite depressed. But Great Mother Geisha, her time to join the spirits fast approaching. She knows that he has what it takes to lead the Magar. He is strong and wise, all of the spirits approve of him. He just needs to find a way to believe in himself, to let go of the fear that he is going to become like his father. Garrosh is in such a bad state that he even suggests for us to take over leadership, so that he can go ahead and just die, erase the shame of his family name. Nothing that we do seems to be able to snap him out of it. But once we realize that Great Mother Geisha is actually the mother of Durotar, Durotar being Thrall's father, we quickly warn a Warchief and make him get his Orcish butt over here so that he can talk to his grandmother. She reveals the name that his parents would have given him. As Thrall, it was his slave name. They would have named the Goel, and our Goel is then asked to talk to Garrosh, to reveal what has happened to his father. But Thrall does one better, and he shows the boy how his father died. How he gave his own life, so that all of them could live free of the blood curse. Thrall, he had given Garrosh something that he had never had before. Confidence and pride. Pride toward his bloodline, towards who he is. I am Garrosh Hellscream, son of Grum, chieftain of the Magar. And Warchief Thrall saw much potential in our Garrosh. Sure enough, he was brash and quick to anger. But Thrall believed that Garrosh's fierce pride and knowledge of Orcish culture, that would serve the Horde well. The Warchief convinced the Magar Orc to act as an advisor back on Azeroth. Journey with him through the Dark Portal, where it's soon obvious that Thrall and Garrosh, they have quite different visions when it comes to the Horde. Seeing the massive city of Orgrimmar with his own eyes, it was amazing to Garrosh. Don't forget, he thought that nearly all of the Horde was gone, and here he was, in a city bustling with orcs from all different ages. The color of his skin, being Magar uncorrupted, it made him stand out like a sore thumb. There was an old veteran, one that had served under Grommash himself, who approached Garrosh, told him that he would do his people proud, and if he had still be able to fight, he would follow the young Hellscream, just like he had his father. But not all was fantastic and glorious. At the Valley of Honor, there was a young orc that had spent her childhood in the internment camps who opened his eyes, made him realize that the products that were sold at the markets, it could not have come from the desert land that the Horde called home. Ashenvale to the north, it was full of everything that they could ever need, but they didn't settle there. Their beloved Warchief, the one who would do everything for his people, he had chosen to build a city here, to pay for the sins of the past. A strange notion to Garrosh. Who was going to be the one to set the price? Are these children that have grown up in the internment camps, are they not punished enough? Thrall's horde was quite different from the one Garrosh had known, especially since this one, it included more than just the orcs, and Garrosh's vision towards how Thrall was ruling it, it was quite different. Then there was a meeting at Faramore to try and extend that peace that Thrall and Jaina had going to more leaders like Varian Rin. The King of Stormwinds, He had lost much to the savage orcs, like his kingdom, his father, and his freedom, but perhaps times had indeed changed. Perhaps his new Warchief Thrall was the beginning of something great. Despite all odds, their negotiations actually went quite well. Small steps towards working together, discussing things like trading timber for ore and exotic hides. All of this was a discussion fit for merchants in Garrosh's eyes. Why should the orcs make concessions when they had the strength to just take what they wanted? To which young Enduin Rin, he asked, why waste your warriors and resource in battle when a few words will bring you greater profit? Point being that Thrall, he was open to the idea of working together, while Garrosh, he was more like his father, a desire and bloodlust for conquest and battle to claim what the Horde needed.
My people should have taken this world long ago during the First War, but they fell to corruption. In their weakness, they allowed the pitiful races of Azeroth to join the Horde.
Regardless, their meeting was disturbed by outside sources, which prevented peace for the Alliance and the Horde. Both sides would soon have to deal with the Lich King waking up in Northrend and undead forces knocking on their door. Warchief Thrall called for counsel and held his grounds. Garrosh, he wanted to take action, take the fight to Northrend and protect the Horde. Their argument, it got so heated that Garrosh called for Makura, a duel of honor, a challenge issued out of sheer frustration and rage. At the Ring of Valor, he fought to get his warchief to act, but their fight got interrupted. Quite lucky for Garrosh, though he rather died than admitted that he couldn't take on Thrall in this moment. The Scourge, it did the job for him by attacking Orgrimmar, and with that, the order was given. The Horde and the Alliance, separately, marched upon Northrend to confront the Lich King. None other than Garrosh was tasked with leading the Horde's forces. Hungry to prove himself to his people, we could find him in the Borean tundra at the Warsong Hold, defended a keep against the spider-like Nerubians. Their army was called the Warsong Offensive, with seasoned veterans like Draenor Saurfang leading the Horde's vanguard, and his father Varrock doing his best to impart some wisdom upon the younger, hot-headed orc. Most of it seems to be lost on him, preferring his own tactics and knowledge. But Garrosh is not a fool, and some of what Varrock tells him actually sticks.
Honor young heroes, no matter how dire the battle. Never forsake it.
They spoke of their past, of what it meant for orcs to be freed of the blood curse, only to now have to deal with their sins, with what they had done. Grommash and Saurfang had both drank from the blood of Manoroth, which led them down a very dark path. Saurfang promised that he wouldn't let Garrosh take them down that road ever again, with the promise from Saurfang to kill him before the day comes. The campaign pushed forward, and Naxxramas was soon enough conquered. But our time in Northrend, it was not just focused on the Lich King and the Scourge. There were distractions like the Nexus War with Malygos the Blue, also great losses at the Wrathgate, Varrock losing his child, while up north in Ulduar, the Explorers League uncovered a horrible, ancient evil.
Yogg Saron has awakened.
I want to see this dwarf, Garrosh, to see the fear in his eyes. Then we'll know if he's telling the truth.
No, wait!
We are going to need all the help we can get if we are...
Thrall!
What? What are they doing here?
Let me explain!
I thought I smelled the stench of Alliance pigs. Control yourself.
You want my blood? Come then, dog. He's mine.
Stop it!
We have all lost! A great deal in this conflict. But we stand to lose everything if we do not stop fighting and work together!
A true war chief would never partner with cowards.
At the Wrathgate, the Horde's partnership killed more of our men than the Scourge. I'm done with your Horde. May this Death God take you all. You disappoint me, Garrosh.
With their leaders not seeing eye to eye, Heroes amongst the factions would rise up themselves to push back the evil of Yogg-Saron. What is interesting to note is that at this time in the story, Garrosh and Varian, they're very similar characters. The human king, he has two sides to him, one of them being his Lokash side, quick to anger, quick to lash out, a deep hatred for the Horde and all that they had done. He was unable to look further, to let go and work towards a better future like Thrall had wanted. Garrosh was similar. He had no love for the Alliance, only to his hordes. Well, this was the second time that he and Varian had come to blows. It would definitely not be the last. And the words spoken by his warchief,
You disappoint me, Garrosh.
they would haunt his steps as Thrall stuck around and inspected Warsong holds. While doing so, a report came in. The Alliance had apparently attempted to conquer Mortrevar, but a Horde patrol had seen the regiment and successfully prevented the assault by attacking them from the rear. Pinched between the Scourge at their front and the Horde at their back, the Alliance forces had perished, but so had the Hordes. The Scourge too had suffered losses, but the gates remained under the Lich King's control. Forces led by Blackscar, who proudly reported back to Garrosh. Though it had cost them their lives, their selfless bravery prevented the Alliance from capturing a strategic point. Such courage is worthy of true soldiers of the Hordes. Garrosh sent a messenger back, telling Blackscar to immediately return to Warsong Hold. An ambush on open troops waiting to fight, that's one thing. To attack a regiment already engaged in battle with another from behind. What was Blackscar going to do next? Sneak into their camps and poison their water? Enslave one of their commanders with magic and force him to murder his troops while they sleep? Rain disease upon their enemies like the Forsaken? Fight the way that they do? There is no combat, but honorable combat. What Blackscar had done was coward work, and Garrosh would not have cowards among his ranks. One last chance was given to Blackscar to return to Orgrim's hammer, lead his soldiers in a manner worthy of the Hordes, prove that he was no coward, or it would be his head on a pike. A wise decision, one that Thrall approved of. He had no regrets to make Garrosh the commander of their forces. He only wished for his attitude towards the Alliance to change. But Hellscream had a duty to the Hordes, and the Horde alone would not compromise like Thrall had. His people would never dwindle. Not again. The Hordes would never fall. After the tournament held by Tyrion Fordring to figure out who was ready to assault Icecrown, the Alliance and the Horde, they finished their campaign in Northrend by slaying Arthas the Lich King and replacing him with Bolvar. The armies of the Alliance and Horde returned home as conquering victors. They had triumphed over one of the greatest threats Azeroth had ever known. Back in Orgrimmar, their people greeted Garrosh with a thunderous applause, with a parade of his own idea to honor all the veterans of the Northrend campaign. He was now seen as a worthy heir of the Hellscream lineage, and as a remarkable battle commander in his own right. The rumors of him single-handedly taking out the Lich King, they might have been a bit much, but it was undeniable that his leadership had brought them success. That Garrosh was exactly what the Horde had needed in their dark hour. In the shadow of the armor and skull of their great enemy Manoroth, Thrall presented young Hellscream with the weapon of his father, Gorhal, the axe that had slain the Pit Lords, but was also used to slay Cenarius. Like any weapon, it can be used for good or ill. I charge you with being the best of your father, Garrosh, with using this weapon wisely and well for the good of your people. If only Thrall could predict the future, but his attention would soon be drawn to the coming of the Cataclysm. Shamans around the world sensed that something was coming, that something was very wrong with the elements themselves, but what was causing this upheaval remained a mystery.
And all will burn beneath the shadow of my wings.
But that part of the story, and so much more, we'll save for next week. So for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time, see ya!